Yeah, as an overall statement, I just started by saying gold is king, the famous JP Morgan thing. Gold is money, everything else is credit. On a street level, gold's where it's at.
GG Bullion Podcast.
Hi, and welcome to the GG Bullion Podcast. Today, I have Odysseus Silverbug on to discuss and talk about what precious metals perspectives from people from other parts of the world, specifically in East Asia. And Odysseus, here you can follow at Zen Nerd Nitro on Twitter and at his website, Odysseus Coins. So, how's it going today, man?
Pretty good. Nice to talk to you.
Yeah. So initially this started out, we messaged on Twitter a bit. You had mentioned that you lived in a bunch of places uh, in East Asia. I think you mentioned the Philippines, Taiwan, some other places.
Yeah,
So
Southeast Asia, East Asia. Yep.
yeah, so could you tell a little bit about that story of how, I guess, just concisely how you kind of got into that being as an American?
Yeah, and then like we were saying offline, there is kind of a long story. So
Hmm.
to kind of make it short, to say I started out by working in Guam for a resort over there, and that's kind of launched me off into the Asian world, so to speak. And from there, I went into Taiwan, lived there a number of years, and lived there off and on during my life for different times. And then from there, I kind of jumped off into China and toured all over China with another job that I did. So I've seen a lot of the eastern part of China, and then also lived in Thailand and Philippines off and on. Used to run a resort there. Um, and then I've just kind of during the course of all that been through a bunch of other places. When I was living in Thailand, I got around to like Laos and Cambodia. Never been to Vietnam, but just about everywhere else there. Indonesia, Singapore, Hong Kong are kind of like hubs. You kind of end up floating through there for various reasons. So uh, I had never been to Japan or Korea as far as besides just transiting there, but I have a lot of friends from there,
Mm.
so I get kind of a little bit of insights on them, even though I haven't lived there. But that's kind of the short version.
Okay, awesome. So I know a lot of people online, especially, and I guess in real life. I actually yesterday I had somebody mention to me somebody that's not even a stacker. Gold in Hong Kong and how China's buying up a bunch of gold and whatnot. So I guess because in the US we kind of have almost what I feel is more of like at least from what I've experienced and other people in the other parts of the country I've talked to, we have like the kind of like American like coin shop culture. I think most stackers will probably get what I mean by that. Um, so I guess to just start us out, like what are the differences that you see in these various places in like Southeast Asia or the Philippines or whatnot? And I'm sure it differs country to country and culture to culture. But what are like the biggest differences between like the US or the West broadly and like in Southeast Asia? So when it comes to precious metal.
Well, yeah, as an overall statement, I just started by saying gold is king.
Okay.
It's all about gold over there. Silver and it is in China. There is a big silver market now. They are buying it on a retail level for like regular citizens, investing in it as a like
Mhm.
a bullion product. But otherwise, gold. Everybody knows gold. It comes down to my main interest and kind of my focus on it, as far as this conversation is when it comes to liquidity. Like, what
Mhm.
is this stuff worth? I mean, if you got it and then you can't sell it anywhere, then it's like that's a problem. So like Japan and Korea, they have China kind of has its own beast, and like I said, they have their people are they use it as an investment vehicle, but it's used in industry for all that high tech stuff. So in Korea and Japan, that's kind of their outlook on it is
Mhm.
like in terms of that. So it's like there's a market there for it, but it's like in that world. So yeah, gold is king. That's just the number one thing overall. And then
Mhm.
since I'm Silverbug is like whenever in other countries, I'm always hunting around for it, and then so
Mm.
that's kind of why it is like it's my hard lesson in it is like, where's the coin shop? And like there aren't any coin shops. They have gold exchanges. You can find those, and in the Philippines, we'll get into that in a little bit. That's an interesting system that they got there for that. But yeah, that's pretty much the main takeaway I'd say is that gold is what it's all about in Asia. Silver, is either high tech market type of stuff where it's talking COMEX, LBMA bar type of transactions going on, and then that exists, but that's only big dog stuff.
Mm.
And also in a lot of like religious type of things, like Thailand, they have it like more like art type of thing. Is a big jewelry industry in Thailand,
Mm.
so like it's kind of confined to the jewelry world and like religious object type of stuff. Whereas there's no really street level for it. Like Philippines is an example. There's nowhere to sell it because they ain't manufacturing anything that takes silver. Here in the U.S., it's so liquid because there's a pipeline of suppliers. There's a supply
Mhm.
line that it can feed into. So in a lot of these countries where there is no pipeline, there's no refiner, there's no melt shop that you could
Yeah.
bring it to. But gold just stands on its own. It is money, like the famous J.P. Morgan thing. Gold is money, everything else is credit. So that's the way to look at it. Plus, they kind of have like a natural distrust for fiat over there. They've all been through so many
Mhm.
cycles of hyperinflation that that they kind of gold has always been their fallback. So
Yeah. Yeah, that's interesting that you mentioned like a natural distrust of fiat. I think people broadly in the US, and kind of in the West in general, with the US dollar being like the world reserve currency and us living in basically what is the current like global hegemon. Um, I think there's kind of that baked in, like, I mean, I guess my upbringing was a little bit different. I was trained by some of my relatives, like my both of my grandmothers who like lived through the Great Depression, to be a bit skeptical of banks and banking institutions and whatnot. But for a lot of people, that they just don't understand that what fiat even is or what money is unless they study it. So
they're
that's
starting to get it now when they're paying $5 for a gallon of gas.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, even just at well, maybe it's younger people that are more at just a base level.
Yeah,
You know,
most people don't even know that term fiat. It's kind of a common thing in our circle, but it's like that's the
yeah.
alien term. In general, I think it's just an alien concept to Americans. We've been spoiled since, I mean, they took the silver out of their coinage in '64 was last year, and then when Nixon took us off the gold standard, then back in the '70s there were already a bunch of old timers sounding the alarms on the whole thing. But
Mhm.
yeah, it's taken a while to sink in as general populace, but I think they'll start understanding it here pretty soon.
Oh yeah. So, I did want to ask you, and then you can kind of get into the specifics, but I did have this question kind of pop up because did you notice a difference, in I guess what you'd call like the common people on the street versus like the higher class or like richer people or like an investor class or whatever in any of these countries when it came to precious metals? Like, did they have a different view on it, or is it pretty much everybody was just like, okay, this is the real money? Like, or did you notice any type of divide on that? Because in the US, I noticed unless somebody's really into stacking, it seems that a lot of like very wealthy people that I've known don't necessarily, or if they do, they're just not telling me about it, but don't necessarily want to hold too much physical gold or silver. And maybe that's because they, whatever, financial advisors are not, they want them to put their money in stocks or whatever that are gonna, uh, in theory, grow capital or whatever. Um, so is there kind of a, hopefully that made sense, but is there a kind of dichotomy like that you noticed?
Just in terms of of what they have the ability to possess. I mean, a lot of the
Okay.
countries in Southeast Asia they're super poor, so there's like
Yeah.
but they all want to. There's no difference as far as they all understand it's worth something. I mean, if you, it's kind of like in the Philippines is a good example. I'm not going to go deep in that right now, but even a poor people will have like a gold ring, and then that's
Mm,
like their credit card. So if they need to, they could go pawn it. But
okay.
it's everybody understands it, and it's on a gram level. So
Mm,
basically, I guess the more common people think in grams, and then the bigger types would just be thinking in larger quantities. But there's a general between the two, and there's not a difference of everybody understands. It's not like here where you go and it's you want a candy bar or you want an ounce of silver, and then they pick the candy bar.
mm,
Well, silver's a bad example. When it comes to gold,
yeah.
there's none of that stuff. If you want ounces of gold, or they know, they
Yeah.
have a concept, rich or poor, that of the value. If you show them an ounce of gold in it,
Okay.
yeah. So when it comes to your question was about a difference in kind of outlook
Mhm,
perspective from like kind of the more common folk, as opposed to like the upper classes in Asia and East Asia and Southeast Asia in particular. And I'd say that they all know that gold has value. They kind of have a general concept. If they're looking at the size of it, they'll understand that it's value. Um, the only difference would be maybe in the quantities that they're dealing with. They think maybe the more lower classes or lower income people that it's all in grams. They think in grams, where the upper class ones are going to maybe thinking in larger quantities. But
mm,
in general, they have an understanding of it, different than here, where it's like most people don't really have any concept of it. And I think
mm,
a, a lot of that goes to the credit system, whereas here we have like credit cards, and there's, we got food stamps, and we got there's avenues to fall back on that. When you're jam, you can go to, pawn electronics or whatever. Is There's different ways to get money. You got tools or something like that, but
mm.
gold is pretty much the go-to. So it's like even if poor people, they'll have like a gold ring, and then during the lifetime they probably will have pawned that 40 times. It's just like
Okay.
their credit card. So,
That
but
that's
they all understand though, between the
yeah.
classes, there's no difference there.
Okay. Because yeah, in the West, I've noticed that yeah, even people that do a lot of I guess investing or have a lot of capital, often, they might want to dip their toes in it. And some people are like stackers, and once you become a stacker, then you know about precious metals very, very well. But it seems like a lot of people, and I don't know, I think everybody's so obsessed with stocks or crypto or various other asset classes, or quote unquote assets, whatever you want to call it, where they're going to be, I guess, they're looking for that return on investment, and not necessarily thinking about um like, they don't really care if the money's fake or not, as long as they get more of it, if that makes sense. I've noticed that.
Yeah, I think a big part of it is the whole 401k pump thing that we have going on here,
Hmm.
um, where it kind of like institutionally like pushes people into it, and then they think in terms of that. Yeah, it's all that's the main argument I always hear from like anti-stacker people is like, oh, the performance of the gold doesn't get you the return. I mean, you can look at this steadily going up over time or whatever. I
Yeah.
don't know what's the problem with that, but their gold has got to be, if it's not the top tier, it's, yeah, I don't know, it's got to be a close tie between any other type of stuff. I mean, they have, Japan, Korea, and China. They got their own stock market situations going on.
Mm,
They go bananas on that sometimes. I know China has its own thing, but like China, they're stackers. They're
mm,
Every household stacks gold and silver in some fashion.
yeah.
It's a way more accepted thing, and then to them, it's a safe haven
Mm,
type of thing, and just the experience. We don't really have experience with hyperinflation. I mean, until recently, we're starting to smell it. But
yeah.
other countries, they've been through cycles of the stuff. They have a natural distrust of fiat in general.
Mm,
So they all want their money to go to gold. It seems like anybody that's got any money will stack in some way.
mm,
Silver, not so much. China, they are stacking silver. Japan, they're a market there's starting to go on that. There's some bubblings in
Okay.
that. It's highly regulated in Japan. I
Mm,
actually looked into. I wanted to do Japanese translations for my pages and make a parallel site to try to sell the Japanese market because they
mhm,
pay like high premiums there. And then I have a lot of stuff they probably think is cool. So I looked into it and it's like it's heavily regulated. I got a lot of opaque stuff that I have to research to even understand if that's possible. But at first glance, it looks like they have pretty strict regulations like quality control, like your product has to be tested and stuff or whatever. I don't know how deep it goes, but
mhm.
it's not easy. But gold, everybody's that's just an assumed thing that for your
Okay.
retirement or whatever. They don't in terms of performance of the things. Yeah, maybe if you live in a big city over there in different places, they might think more like that. But on a street level, gold's where it's at.
Okay. Gotcha. So I guess you mentioned premiums, and I know I've had conversations with certain people like uh the Silver Hermit on YouTube and on Twitter is from Israel, and we were talking, and he was talking about how the how there's not really too much of a stacking community there. And it's all done through auctions. They don't really have coin shops, and they pay out the nose in premiums. And so I was very curious about that. As far as, and you said in Japan that it's tightly regulated, and
Yeah, and there's VAT taxes on it.
mhm. So in
'Cause
Southeast Asia, is that different? What does that whole situation kind of look like on the ground?
um, I'll think of examples, kind of different country to country, and they're kind of different animals. China, they have the manufacturing base that needs silver, so it's more there's silver's liquid there, and then they kind of have a because their economy is so big, it's a more robust market there, and the liquidity is similar to like the U.S., where there's gold and silver exchanges, and they're both liquid, platinum, all that type of stuff is. Um,
Mm,
but it really varies different places. Like in Indonesia, they have forget the Indonesian term, but it's some term they have that means like people's gold because they have a lot of mining there, and there's a lot of like
okay.
basically pirate miners, just people just go out and dig their own mines, and then they mint their own little blobby, poor bullion pieces
Mhm.
with their own little whatever. There's billions of variations of them, and then that's like a common thing there. And then they have the little scales and they weigh it and whatnot. Um,
Okay. So,
yeah,
so
it really differs country to country. And sorry, what was your question again? You want to repeat that?
oh yeah, no problem. Basically what I was getting at was in some places it seems to be more regulated, and there's taxes and high
Oh,
premiums,
regulated. That's right.
and in other places it seems like you're talking about I believe you said Indonesia, where you have people making basically like little
Yeah, yeah.
hand poured
Wild
money.
Wild West type of stuff. Yeah.
Okay, so
Japan's heavily regulated. Korea is fairly regulated. China, Chinese government, they encourage all of their citizens to read, especially now they've been amping it up. They've
mhm,
been doing different whatever public service announcement type of things. So in China, it's regulated somewhat, but they encourage it, so it's not hard to do. They want it. They want people
mhm,
to stack. Hong Kong, that's like the mothership of that's where it's at. That's the center of the universe there. It's a lot of stuff moves through Hong Kong between China and the rest of the world, between different places. So, and then part of that is the regulations are loose in Hong Kong. I think China likes it that way because they have their little games they play and stuff. So they like stuff to be able to flow through there. So that's kind of a big meeting place in Hong Kong. So there's a guy on Twitter, Eric Young, I think is his name.
mhm,
He's definitely somebody to follow. He's some kind of high roller. He throws around freaking $1 million bars and stuff, and he seems pretty tuned in and stuff. But he
mhm.
knows all about that. They call them good delivery bars. They got their,
Yeah.
which are basically is like better than cash.
Mhm,
it, but they're just fully liquid, fully autonomous. So yeah, and that's kind of what makes it so popular for. different supply chains and networks to move through Hong Kong as loose regulations. Yeah, and then you got like Indonesia, which is like the Wild West. Places like the Philippines, this is not really. I mean, they might have regulations on importing and exporting large amounts, but like on a street level, if you're exchanging it back and forth, not so much. So I think the poorer the country, the less regulations there are, and then the richer like Japan, then the stricter. I guess is probably the best overall view on that.
Okay. So I guess on like on your like personal level and your experience, like let's say whether it's in Indonesia or whether it's in Taiwan or Thailand, because if you're looking out for gold or silver or whatnot to buy, uh, can you kind of walk me through how that process is kind of different, I guess, because you said that they have more exchanges. They don't really have the like coin shop system uh, like we have here.
Yeah, they do have a lot of coin shops in Japan, and
Okay.
Korea is starting to be a little bit more popular. China has like their exchange type of things. There's not so many varieties like we got as one thing here. We got a
Mhm.
billion different rounds of this and that,
Yeah.
and then lots of different jam, bullion, and SD, and all that type of stuff. It's
Mm.
more limited there. Probably part of it is because the government won't allow any. They probably just only allow their whoever's friends, whoever's in with whatever government. They kind of corner the market in a lot of the countries over there, so that there's not huge bunch of competition sometimes. Yeah, so I'm trying to. I got to hold back because some of these different things can go down some big tangents. As far as finding coin shops and stuff like that, like the Philippines is my most recent one because I just went back for like a month a while ago, and I was really hunting around because I wanted to find some real like like MS graded, nice, not even graded, but just like MS quality.
Mhm.
The old one of my favorite things to collect is the old U.S. minted stuff that they do for other countries. Like we used to mint all the coinage for like Venezuela and Cuba and the Philippines
Mhm.
during different periods. So there's lots of cool stuff out there for that. And I wanted to get some real nice old silver US made pesos where it says USA on one side with the US shield and eagle and stuff, and the other
Mhm.
side's Philippines. So anyway, I was really hunting around there, and man, I could only find one coin shop in the whole country. I mean, I was
Mhm.
in both metro areas and probably 7 different islands. So like I was all over the place there, and most of the bigger cities. And the only one I could find was in Makati in Manila, which Makati is like their Manhattan.
Mhm.
There's one guy that's got a coin shop that's like we think of a coin shop, and he had a section inside a furniture store in like a high-end shopping center thing.
Mhm.
And I had to really hunt for him. It's just an old collector guy, is the head of the Philippines Numismatic Society, and it's just like his personal collection. It's really good stuff too. But
Mhm.
I mean, I looked at so it kind of went through a cycle as I go through it. Facebook's big in the Philippines, so
Mhm.
I ended up on that. But man, there's so many. Everybody's. I got onto some of their coin forums and then was like posted, "Hey, I'm looking for nice." Explained to him what I was looking for, the nice old U.S. silver coinage and stuff. And then I got barrage of people in their pocket change and stuff. How much is this worth? What do you you want to buy this or whatever? And I was
Yeah.
like, that got annoying. They blew up my wife's message thing and stuff, and I was like, I give up on this. And scammers of every sort coming
Yeah.
through and sending me fake coins on pictures and whatever. So that was annoying. So I wouldn't recommend that route because
Mhm.
it's just a headache. Um, and there are, if you want to get like gold bullion, they're all about gold jewelry there. But if you want to get gold bullion, you can get it in Makati. But otherwise, it's pretty much it's can't find nothing. Taiwan, there I found some coin shops in Taiwan before. There are a few there, but it's not really not much like we think of it. There's not really much coin collectors. Japan's got coin collectors.
Mhm.
Europe has tons of coin collectors. America and like the Western countries we do, but it's not so much a thing over there. It's kind of bizarre to them sometimes when I tell people that they figure out that I collect coins. It's like a curious oddity. They're like, what the heck?
Yeah. So
But
would you say then that because you had mentioned that especially in like Southeast Asia and some of the I guess poorer countries or where there's more poor people, um that everybody wants, that everybody stacks. They might have like a ring that they'll pawn. Is it mostly jewelry then, and not really like bullion grade, or do you know the fineness?
Yeah, you mean I'll go ahead and pull up my slide there on
Yeah, yeah.
the Philippines because that's a kind of a good similar, basically in Thailand and a lot of places too.
Okay.
You see my screen, okay?
Yeah.
All right, so this is yeah. Everybody will try to have a little gold. It's kind of more like a credit instrument more than anything, and it like I mentioned, if you want to find like a gold eagle or a gold maple leaf or something like that, it's only just a couple few places in the whole country that they'd even know what to do with it. It'd be hard to sell in some places. It's all about the gold jewelry, but it's got to be high carat. So like 18K, anything below that, they really wouldn't even want to touch.
Mhm.
18K is low to them. A big part of that in the Philippines, there's lots of overseas foreign workers, especially over in the Middle East. And Middle East, they're all about gold. They got a huge tradition and that stuff. So you get lots of Middle Eastern gold, and it's like high carat, 21, 22 carat gold.
Mhm.
So that's what you'll see. And like if you see in my little slide here, there's the Palawan pawn shop and the Cebuana. Now, when we hear pawn shop, to my ears initially, when I heard it, when they talk about the pawn shop, it's something I'm picturing a place you go bring your chainsaw or something like that.
Mhm.
The not like that. They're basically gold exchanges. That's all they have in there is just gold. And it's all
Okay.
all high carat jewelry, and down to if you look at the one picture, there's the little tiny pendants
Mhm.
to you got the rings and whatever. A lot of it's from overseas workers or sailors.
Mhm.
Lots of sea in Philippines, and they'll always pick up gold over there. So it ends up back in the Philippines where a lot of the stuff came from is the Middle East, probably most of it. They call it Saudi gold, even though probably a lot of it comes from Dubai and different places.
Yeah.
But it's like if you're a poor person that doesn't have, there's no credit score there. They have credit cards, but there's a weird kind of credit system that's basically internal within the bank. You
Mhm.
can't, like Credit Karma where you go on, oh, your thing went up, and it just like doesn't exist really.
Yeah.
So their credit system is basically gold. So like I know lots of people you call poor people, basically squatters that live in some thing they built on government land somewhere. I mean, they're like hand to mouth type of thing. He's got like a nice big fat gold ring, but he's probably pawned that thing off and on dozens of times. And they actually will give you, so these places they can pawn shops, but they're really gold exchanges, and they're really like credit companies,
Mhm.
and the gold is the collateral. So the way they'll test it, they'll usually you just set an account up there. They give you a debit card.
Okay.
Then if you need money, instead of having a credit card, you put it on. Just bring your gold ring down there. They take it in, and then it's kind of same like here. We have X amount of time, or you lose it, and then you
Uh,
can make payments, and there's all kinds of arrangements you can make on it.
okay.
And
So
they
that's
put money on your card, and
huh.
if you just want a little bit, you got one of these little pendants, and then that's that. If you're super poor and that's all you got, well, it's your little credit. That's your credit limit is whatever piece of gold that you can afford.
That's
And
very interesting. I did not know that that existed. So that you, like if I were to, let's say, be there and give them a piece of gold, they would give me a essentially a debit card with whatever the value that they're giving me for that gold is, correct? Like,
if you want to just straight sell it to them, they'll just give you cash. You just fill out a
mhm.
form. But
But
like
if
if
I
you wanted to use it like you wanted to pay it off and make payment arrangements,
okay.
like use it like credit, then they would give you a debit card. It's essentially is like a credit card, basically, in
Yeah.
functioning.
You're using the gold to prove, so that's their fallback if you don't pay it off,
That's their
have your
collateral.
gold.
That's their
Yeah.
collateral. Yeah.
Okay, that's interesting. I mean, maybe there are pawn shops in the US that do that. I just have never heard of that before. So that's very interesting.
And these are chains, so like everywhere you go, it's the Apollo ones, they have Cebuanos. Sometimes you'll see 10 on the same street.
Hmm.
They're like ubiquitous everywhere. So it's like McDonald's or something. It's like the credit store.
Yeah,
So
that's hmm,
for poor people, it's like Visa, Mastercard, any of that stuff. This is the credit system. Is these two chain gold exchange places, Apollo and Cebuano, and they just deal with basically high carat jewelry.
Okay.
solid. It can't be. They don't mess around with a bunch of weird rhinestones and shit on it. It's solid
Yeah.
gold items, high carat.
Hmm. That's very interesting. So basically everybody has like gold as savings, basically.
If
Even
they
if
can
it's
afford it,
just
unless they're like totally destitute and they wouldn't have
yeah.
nothing. But if they have any dimes to rub together whatsoever,
Mhm.
they will get themselves a little piece of gold. That's their that's their credit. There's any savings they got will go into that.
Okay. So that's
Retirement
interesting.
things. And they're,
Oh, okay. So that's essentially like, and I know this is specifically, I think you're talking, at least the photographs are from the Philippines. Um, so,
Similar in Thailand and other
okay.
places too.
Okay.
Indonesia's a little bit different there because they have that because there's a lot of mining in Indonesia, so it's
Mhm.
more like peer-to-peer exchanges going on
Yeah.
with it. Whereas here it's just more like a credit function. So there's slight nuances between the countries, but
Yeah. Of course. So that's very interesting. So would you say basically like anybody that has, that can afford it essentially will have some gold?
yeah, pretty much. I have yet to meet anybody that doesn't. And probably any country I've lived in over there, everybody's got some gold.
Hmm. That's very interesting because in the West, it's probably my most generous estimate of people that are having it for any sort of monetary value is probably 2% tops, it's not a lot of people that are stacking gold or silver here. Um,
And
we're
then the
we're
more
kind of
affluent
in the
countries,
minority.
they'll do more bullion,
Hmm.
whereas the poorer ones, it's all the jewelry. And
Okay.
then they kind of don't you might have I don't you probably would eat the premium, I would imagine, in Japan if you're trying to get your money back out of the jewelry.
Hmm.
It's kind of opposite on the poorer ones. They don't know what to do with the bullion. Everybody wants the jewelry, and then it's just vice versa in the richer places.
Okay, so like in the Philippines, for example, like people would prefer jewelry over like a bullion
Oh
coin.
yeah, they wouldn't even know what to do with it. They look
Huh.
probably stare at it. You could, like I said, there's places in the bigger cities that they'll take them, but
Okay.
you probably eat a premium on it.
So
They were
jewelry is
shocked. Yeah, jewelry is what it's about. I have actually a good friend here that's a Filipino um, that had a family medical thing back in Philippines. They had a surgery, like they needed to come up with like 25 G's quick,
yeah.
and they have real nice premium, lots of 22K jewelry, prime stuff, and they just got massacred on it over here. I got them the best deal that they're going to get because I some different friends in the world or whatever, so I was able to get them a lot. But I mean, they ate it hard, and they were like shocked by the way it was. So that they're
Mhm.
starting now to get bullion things for
Yeah.
here while they're living here. But yeah, they were surprised at how much you eat. There though, you don't really eat the premium at all. I got a gold bracelet there, and it was too tight, and
Hmm.
I brought it back, and the spot had gone up a bit, and then they gave me more money than I paid them for it. Like,
Okay.
and it wasn't huge change. So the swing in premium, it was like almost nothing. It was like just basically spot liquidity.
Yeah, that's basically the opposite here. I mean, like a bullion, like if it's 39's fine gold, that especially a bar or something, that's going to be low premium or the lowest premium you're going to get, whereas jewelry is like the high premium stuff that's generally not for investment. I mean, there is like 22 and 24 karat gold out there that I've seen, but I don't see too many people in the US or hear about it buying that as for investment purposes. So it's almost flipped overseas across the Pacific.
And I'll grab it up when I see there. I always look for it here, and I can never find it. The pawn shops here, they're such a rip off on the premiums. I always look
Oh
because I'm
yeah.
curious, and then I do the math on it. And it's like, and then when they buy it, I know that they're ripping who they buy it off. They're looking up melt and what they could sell it for the to the melt shop for, and then they take 20% off that.
Mhm.
That's how they buy it, and then when they're selling it, just like ridiculous premiums. And then looking at the stuff's 14K, and it's just it's just, I almost never seen. I did find one uh, at one place, but it was just a rare occasion I've ever even seen any high carat gold available. I like to get the 21 and 22K when I'm over in Philippines because you get it at melt price.
Okay.
But yeah, just I guess I realized that if I want to ever get out of that, I would use that over in those countries where
Mm,
where it's liquid, then that's where that vehicle would be appropriate at.
yeah.
So you kind of have to keep that in mind.
Yeah, that's very, very interesting, the differences. And then I guess I know you mentioned in Indonesia with a lot of mining and kind of people hand pouring it, where you said it's like the Wild West type things where they just have like little nuggets of gold essentially.
Yeah, they just have like they just go out and make their own, go on to government lands or whatever, and there's
Mhm.
just bootleg miner operations all over the place. Then yeah, they just hand pour the little things. So I'm sure they have all their different little scams and stuff, and then their little
Yeah.
counter actions to the scams. But yeah, it's its
Yeah.
own little world. But yeah, that'd be an interesting thing to collect. If I was a millionaire or something, I'd definitely want a few pieces of
Yeah.
things there. There's some neat ones too. I've googled it before to look at them, and
Mhm.
there's all different variations, little cool little hand poured type deals.
Yeah, I'll try and unless you have some, I'll try and throw some pictures up in post um of some of that stuff. But yeah, that's very interesting. Like just how different it is. I mean, I kind of expected like going into this conversation that it's going to be different, but it can't be too different. And it really is a lot different. Like I knew jewelry was a bigger thing. Like I had a coworker that he's Hmong. His family was from Cambodia, and they fled the Khmer Rouge. So that would have been in what, the early 70s.
81, some or was it
Yeah,
70s, late 70s, I think,
yeah,
early
so,
80s. Yeah.
something like that. But he was telling me how they had this Hmong jewelry that was these big silver things that women would wear, and they kind of use those to pay people to help kind of smuggle them out of the country and stuff. And so I knew jewelry was at least a big thing before and in some areas, but I didn't think it was how you have explained it. I didn't know it was that big where that's like the low premium, and how they use it is very interesting as well. It's like um almost the complete opposite as it is here in the US with metals.
Yeah, not a lot of that I think comes from the fact that we have the industrial base and the supply line here,
Yeah.
supply chain that needs to suck the metal up. That's kind of the base of why it is worth something. Is it's you
Mhm.
can get money for it because there's demand because they need to build all these chips, electronics, and solar panels and all that or whatever. Then they'll there's a cache that's there somewhere, so it's just a matter of connecting to that supply chain. So
Yeah.
if you don't have a connection, there's no network to connect to, then there's no money to flow.
Mhm. And yeah, like you have up on the screen there just those little pieces. So do those generally float around like not stamped? They're just in little nuggets like that?
Yeah, they're not really stamps. Sometimes I'll see little stamps on them. I've never personally seen them, but from pictures I've seen or whatever, they
Mm.
have different variations. But I've seen ones where they put little hand stamp type of things in there with whatever crude way they do it. But
Yeah.
usually it's just like little nuggets that it's done by weight, from what I understand. So like this
Mm.
guy's holding in his hand here, they'll just have some whatever little pocket, like old school type of scale or whatever, and
Mm.
that's there you go. Put it on. I'm not sure how they are sure of its purity. I guess they're just used to handling and dealing with it, and they could just tell.
Yeah, I mean, from my experience of hand pouring, which that's all silver for me, but it looks like in that picture, the one on the very right, was probably what was left in the crucible. They melted it in just but based on the pattern. And it looks like there might be a little bit of impurities in those. The other ones look pretty pretty good though. I don't know. I'd have to see it in person, but it is very interesting that it's just so they go on into these so these people are basically doing it like they're sneaking into these mines and doing it, or
They just
buying
have their own little
or
pop-up mines like this all over
huh,
the place. It's just like back in the 49ers and
yeah,
in the California or whatever, and they just make the little pits do their things. There's big giant mining operations there, of course. So I think sometimes they kind of just get clued into what general
yeah,
areas where there's some big boys doing stuff, and they just start digging holes.
yeah. So yeah, we've been going for like about 45 minutes, I think. So I don't know if you have any other pictures you'd like to show or anything else you'd like to go over.
Yeah, let me try to wrap it up here. Let me see if I had a few different slides, but let me just
You
yeah,
know,
let me just share my screen and just I'll just briefly just cruise through a couple of these here.
okay. And yeah, while you're bringing that up, that is, I don't know, for some reason I just, because I'm so used to how things are in the US, where it's like bullion is kind of where it's at, and jewelry is like the high premium stuff. I guess it makes sense. It's just the fact that it's flipped is very interesting to me.
Yeah, it was a rude awakening when I figured out there's nobody cares about silver in different places, but
Huh.
yeah, those Hmong up in northern Thailand, a lot of the tribe ones, yeah, they have a lot of that silver jewelry, and like they get married or something, that's like their
Yeah.
dowry and stuff. India, they do all that type of stuff. So you see my screen here, okay?
Yeah.
This is the one coin shop I was able to locate in Makati, JC Coins and Antiques. If anybody's ever there and wants to find, they're hard to find too. You go on Google Maps and like search coin, and they're all like the wrong number, or like nobody answers or whatever. So there's some listed on there, but they don't really exist. But
Yeah.
this guy's been there forever. He's the head of numismatics people. So anyway, so here's some Filipino coins. That's one of the guy's counters there.
Mm,
I kind of threw these slides together. I probably could have found some cooler ones, but anyway, and there's some coinage, some of that U.S. coinage I talked about there in upper
yeah.
left. That's one of their. It's minted. I think this one here's the San Francisco Mint, U.S.
Oh yeah.
Cool
So
MacArthur there.
yeah, that one's what, 1947. Okay, so that would make sense.
Yeah, so China, they're gangbusters over there right now. They're going wild on gold and silver. And then yeah,
Mhm.
they do the jewelry there, they do the bullion, and they're going wild on that stuff. And then government's promoting it. So
Yeah, if
that's
uh, yeah, if you go back one slide, was that a, or maybe I'm seeing
or
things. Yeah, okay, no, it was forward one slide. Is that a vending machine?
yeah, so I believe this is in Japan here or Korea. You can
Okay.
tell the right if the writing has circles in it, it's Korea.
Yeah.
Both, I think both of them have it. I think this is in Japan, but I'm not sure. Either way, yeah, both of them they got vending machines for it. But they do the bullion there, and they prefer like the assay card type of stuff,
Okay,
and they
so
have some pretty
that's
cool stuff. Like you see that one in the right corner there. I like their little slabs they do.
mhm. Okay, so it's kind of like the more, I guess the more what do you want to call it? GDP per capita. The higher that is, it's like the more bullion is preferred, whereas the more
Yeah,
underdeveloped countries, it's like jewelry.
definitely, because you got jewelry that and you can wear it too, which is pretty cool. So,
Yeah,
what are you gonna do with a gold coin? If you got a gold ring, at least you can flash it a little bit too. So,
yeah.
you see the Tanaka bar. That's the big brand in Japan. Is Tanaka something I can't pronounce, but
Okay.
they're the big boys. So yeah, the vending machine there. Uh, and then Comsco rules in Korea. And then we've seen some of their stuff. I don't know if you're familiar with them. We do have some of their high premium, cool type of things. They do the shields. They have the like the uh,
Oh,
Saint Michael's shield and the Achilles and the Daiwu or Daiga, whatever little demon looking thing shields
yeah.
that we have.
I think I've seen some of that. I don't own any of it, but
They're cool. I got a few of those. I like them. But yeah, Comsco's main one. They also do the minting for the actual coinage of Korea too. That's kind of who rules over there. But yeah, they love the bullion, and they do have a silver market there for
mhm.
bars and stuff, but it's a little more limited and it's not as big as here. Yeah, Hong Kong there. That's the heart of the dragon there. There's some good delivery bars. They call them towels. I never TAELS. They're kind of ingot type of stuff they have going on. This stuff here is better than cash. And it has the bank certified by a bank. The banks put stamps in, like the banks. The banks accept it like as if it's money. You can deposit it into the bank, and then you
Mhm.
have a gold account. This
Okay.
period. So yeah, Hong Kong's cool. That's you can do a couple hours talking about Hong Kong. Eric Young, he's a good one to follow for all that world. And
Mhm.
the whole arbitrage situation, which a lot of that's going through Hong Kong and Shanghai, of course.
Mhm.
Uh, and Singapore, they get real high tech there. That's a major hub of stuff that goes on too. Singapore, they have a lot of metals flow through there on different levels. This one coin I got, it's a cool one. Is a It's a 5 ounce one from the Singapore International Coin Fair. So they do
Mhm.
have coin collectors there and stuff. And then but as you can see, their coin shops are a little different than ours,
Yeah.
a little high tech. So that's it's on my slides there. So
Okay.
anyway, yeah, there's all kinds of little side rabbit holes we could go down, but I think that was a good taste of kind of the general idea of things. I'm not a complete expert in all of it, but I get the general gist and all that. I don't think anybody would argue with me that gold's a king over there, though. That's for sure.
Yeah, that's a very I think that's a good overview because I had a little bit of an idea of some of that stuff, but like in my head, I guess before you were explaining it, it was to nowhere near that extent where it's like, they wouldn't even know, the average person wouldn't even really know what to do with bullion because they're so used to jewelry, and that concept I guess is literally, but seems so foreign to me when I think about stacking gold. It's like, or silver for that matter. It's like, okay, yeah, I want bullion, preferably like coins or big bars or whatever. Um, so yeah, I thought that was an interesting overview, and uh, I learned a lot. I mean, I guess if I ever go to the Philippines or something, you know, I'll now know
All right,
what to do.
go check out JC and Makati. He's a good folks there.
Yeah, anybody over in that's in Manila, correct?
Yeah, it's in Makati, which is like the Manhattan neighborhood of. It's like the high end neighborhood of Manila.
Yeah, anybody who that applies to, go check it out.
Yeah, it's the only game in town. So, and then don't even mess around with Facebook unless you want a headache.
Yeah, yeah. I that sounds like you'd get a lot of, especially yeah. I can see how
Unless
that
you're in the
would
market
go.
for pocket change, then they'll take care of you.
Yeah, yeah. All right. Well, thank you very much for having us on, or having us on. Thank you very much for being on. If you want to be on again in the future, just let me know, or I can reach out to you next time I'm putting something together. It's interesting to have that perspective, because there has been, a lot of talk online about, oh, that, people in East Asia and in India as well are getting more into gold or silver, that's being pushed or whatnot, or their central
Silver's
bank.
coming up. I mean, I say silver and it's gold's king, but silver is coming up over there, especially China. So don't they're going wild. So
Yeah.
there's that.
Yeah. Yeah, it seems like would you say that I guess countries that are more developed, I suppose, or at least have larger, I guess more developed urban centers are a little heavier on silver?
I think it's whoever's doing more manufacturing stuff because China, they
Okay.
got all the solar panel industry and all that. So there's a liquidity in it because there's a market to suck it up.
Okay.
Whereas
So
you're in Boondock, Papua New Guinea, then nobody needs it because they ain't building those solar panels there.
yeah,
So I think it's the industrial base is where that's all from.
that makes a lot of sense because at the end of the day, you can always melt it down and use it for industrial applications. And if those industrial applications aren't there, that's it's not nearly as liquid. So that makes sense.
Oh well, yeah, it's been fun. And then yeah, if you have some other conversation with any other people, or let me chop it up. It'll always be fun. Just talk about the whole arbitrage, and there's all kinds of different subjects to go into. So anyway, it's been fun talking to you.
Yeah, thanks for being on. All right. Thank you, everybody who listened to the end. And once again, check out Odysseus Silverbugs. I will put his website and his Twitter in the description of this video. And thank you all so much for watching. And again, thank you for being on.
Thank you.
All right. Have a good one, everybody. See you on the next one.